Thank you for joining us on Heather Ewing, the CRE Rundown. I am your host, Heather Ewing, and today I am so happy to share with you. I have Andrew Stimson. He is the founder of Elevating Talents. Andrew?
Thanks for having me on, Heather. It's a pleasure to talk to you some face to face.
Definitely. So we connected through one of the LinkedIn challenges a while back. So it's been nice to connect that way and learn more about you. For my guests that haven't had that privilege yet, can you share a little bit more about yourself and your business?
Yeah. Yeah, thanks again for having me on. And Elevating Talents is a pretty new business. I started it in January of 2023, and my focus is I'm really focusing on providing opportunities for investors to elevate their talents or their finances, their money, and so I've got different options that people and opportunities for people to take advantage of, where they can get double digit returns backed by real estate. And I've really focused in the build to rent sector for the last year and a half, and partnered with a really experienced uh, general partner, lead syndicator that's been doing it for 20 plus years. And so that was a big focus of mine before really getting into it. Is I want to find someone who's been there, done that, really experienced. Especially, I got into this at a pretty tough time in the cycle of where commercial real estate is. And so partnering with someone who's got loads of experience and has seen the time where we're at now was really important to me.
And I think that's a really important point to highlight because you see a lot of people, on LinkedIn in a lot of different areas that I'll just say they're the wild cowboys, whether it's male or female.
Mm-hmm.
They're just going out and shooting from the hip. And to me, I've never understood that, especially when I see it as each person's due diligence to find the right partners, to reach out and to create those mentorship opportunities like you did. That way you can speak with authority. You can know you are fully aligned. You are helping someone in the right way, and you're not going to have lessons learned that then equate to someone losing money. So I think that's totally the way to go.
Yeah, and it's you're someone who mentors a lot of people, and it's so valuable to have that experience of lessons learned, that even, let's say, you're underwriting a property, what all are you taking into account? And you don't know what you don't know. And so when you have a team that is doing that, then when insurance, skyrockets and interest rates skyrocket, you're ready. And it's not because you're not, being overly aggressive in your underwriting. Just as one example. But yeah, it's for me, certainly experience in like small business and leadership in that level. But being newer in commercial real estate, it was a non-negotiable for me to get to know people, which I primarily did through a mastermind. And uh, which is where I met many people that have been there and done that, and have helped me learn and grow. But also just getting to know people for a while, and not just having one good conversation and being like, all right, let's do this, but getting to know each other over a longer period of time, and just to make sure you know what you're getting into. Partnership is a beautiful thing, but it's also, there's a lot of responsibility with it, and it's a privilege to have that responsibility. But you got to understand that before you get into it.
I agree completely. And I think it's creating that framework. And I think anyone that is looking for a quick fix or quick flash of money, they're going to be sadly disappointed. And also, I think when people actually do come through money in that really quick infusion, that typically they're not able to retain it. And I think because it's such a different mindset, and with anything sales related, investments, it really is like you illustrated. It's the long-term game, and it's aligning not only based on niche, but also values.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that, I've always admired about you as well, as you definitely have your values and you're clear on that.
Yeah, that's really the starting point of getting to the why of why I do what I'm doing. And yes, I want to provide great opportunities for investors to increase the money they can make in their investments, and to have it be in something I really believe in, like commercial real estate. But it's like, well, why? What is that going to do for a
Mhm.
person? And what I see one thing that financial freedom can bring is time. And time is the thing that we don't get back. And uh,
Mhm.
but more than anything is, how can this support or magnify what my mission is in life, and what my main mission is in life? And for me, I'm faith is really important. I'm a follower of Jesus, and my
Right.
main mission in life, I'm loving God and loving people as I'm living life, and making disciples of Jesus. And one thing that requires is time, and it
Right.
can it can take a lot of time. And so that's one of my big driving points personally is do I want to reach financial freedom? Absolutely. And I want to have more time to spend with my wife and my children, to do those things in my community. But I also want that for others. And uh, like you said, it doesn't happen overnight. It's going to take
Right.
time, but you got to get started somewhere, and then just stack it year after year. Um, and when you do that long enough, consistently enough, it will produce. And so
Exactly.
that's the joy of it, and kind of what I see, and but
Right.
with that, like, right, I'm married. Let's see, we'll be going on 14 years next month.
That's
And
wonderful. Congratulations.
thank you. Four
Yeah.
kids, 6 and under, 3 girls and a boy. And uh, and
You're
so that,
busy, Andrew. You're busy.
yeah, my wife's, I call her Wonder Woman. She's
Yeah, I
unbelievable.
would too.
Yeah, she's unbelievable. And so, but having that is like, okay, for me, yes, I want to get to financial freedom, but what am I willing to sacrifice to do that?
Right.
And if I chase that as fast as I can, my kids are all going to be gone before I'm there. And it's like, well,
Mhm.
what was the point? I want to have time with them, and I want to be very present in their life. And so each person is different. What your big why is, why you want maybe more time freedom, and whatever that is, I just really believe this is a great vehicle to help get there. And so that's a little bit of the kind of why. And the mastermind I joined, that was a common theme. It was folks from all over the country, but it was the thing that most had in common was it was faith based, and that was sort of a value that pretty much everyone held. And so um, that was kind of, there's so many good masterminds out there and good
Right.
mentor programs, but that was kind of what drew me to that particular one. About a year before I started elevating talents.
Right. Well, and I think the nice thing about it too is I'm part of a mastermind as well, and you'll notice a common theme, right?
Mm-hmm.
Amongst people that are getting the support they need, the mentorship, some of these different facets of it's a really nice way to connect, like you said, through faith or whatever the common point is, in addition to the real estate. And then you get to build upon that. And I think too, just knowing that you have people you can pick up the phone and know that you're going to have someone that truly does care, that is looking out for your best interests, is in the same arena, most likely a different state, maybe
Mm-hmm.
even a different country, and
Mm-hmm.
that you can all learn from each other. You can all provide value. And something else that I've noticed over the years too is when people are clear on their why, they're able to move much quicker, but it's also through a group. And it makes sense, right? If you have a fuzzy goal, you don't
Yeah.
really know what you're pursuing and you don't have your benchmarks. And with that clarity, you're able to move more quickly. It also feels a lot better. But I like your point too, Andrew, that it's in taking that time for family and other values, because you can move really quick, but then you won't, if you want to say, have the essence of life of time with your family, of time with loved ones, to fulfilling some of those heart-centered things, whether it's spiritual, or whatever it is in nature. And I think that's a really important point. I know when I started abstract 4 years ago, I was just focusing, going hard. And then it's like you realize, what, things can change in a heart, you know, second. And you want to make sure you have that time with family. But it's easy to not know what to do when you're
Mm.
starting a brand new venture. So that's also where, as that support and the mentors and masterminds came in, it was extremely helpful.
Yeah, and it is such a big commercial real estate investing. It's a big business, and there are a lot of moving parts and dynamics,
Mhm.
and partnership. I love partnership. Partnership gets a bad name a lot in our world, and but I think it's a good thing. And
Mhm.
one thing that you often hear is never partner with family. I like to partner with family. I believe that it's not always easy, but I
Right.
believe these things can be redeemed and that there's good in it. And also if it's in a good partnership, and one example would be you have complementary strengths
Right.
and you can both live in your sweet spot. But this business, you have to have partnership because it's just too big to do it on your own.
Exactly.
And that's the other thing I really love about it is that dynamic. It's a very uh, not me focused, at least in my circles that have been around us. It's not a me focused industry. There's a lot of people that want to do good and have a really good heart in what they're doing, and it's been fun. It's been really neat to see that because that's you don't see that everywhere.
No, that's true. And I think it's also, I think people have worked so hard to get where they have, that I've noticed that as well too. Of people seem very open, very warm to take a phone call, even if you don't know them. You know what I mean? To help you with a certain aspect, or will connect you, and that really is a gift. And I think it's one of those. A lot of times, people, you have to learn this skill in commercial real estate. But I think before people are in it for very long, it's kind of like a mindset of solo, solo, solo. And then to your point, they realize how vast it is, how much there is, and how frequently all of those elements are changing. And every deal is different. I mean, I think of all the different deals I've done over the years, and each, there's commonalities, but there's a lot of interesting twists and turns, and ways of strategizing, and working that out in your numbers and the agreement itself. So it's the long game partnership.
For sure, for sure.
Mhm. So now, jumping on, how do you see the market shifting and changing, right? We're in 2024. Each year kind of has its own unique peculiarities. What's something that you're focusing on in the market?
Yeah. So one thing in the build to rent sector that we look at in our is it starts with purchasing land. Typically, I mean, you can start at different stages, but we've started at purchasing land, and um, and so finding places like we are right now have investments and developments in the South, in Louisiana and Alabama at the moment. But and part of that is that ability to buy land a little bit less expensive than some other places. Um, and so that's certainly been a focus of ours, as well as with build to rent, you've got three stages. You buy the land, and then you get all the land ready for development, and that's the part where you're working with local government, and there's a lot of moving parts, and having someone on your team that's experienced in that can really connect with the local municipalities is huge. And then you have the horizontal infrastructure. You're building out roads and sewers and getting everything ready for the vertical build where you're actually building the homes. And so, a couple things that really speak to it. One of them is just the housing shortage. Depending
Right.
on who you talk to, 3 to 4 million homes we're short right now, and there's a lot of factors for that. One, new builds is down. After the last big market crash, 08, 09, the development game changed, and I think that's one thing that has really impacted it, as well as another is just the rising gap between owning and renting. It's maybe never been higher to own versus rent. And so it's pushing people, especially a lot of millennials that would be entering, home purchasing market. They're waiting, with the interest rates, about doubling to the last couple of years. And, it's harder for them to find a home they can afford. So they end up just renting. And so all those things, those are a couple of dynamics that are really pushing into it. And so finding markets that have some, job diversity, there is some growth, market growth, is certainly important. But I think those big ones, which also support multifamily apartments investing, it really do build to rent as well.
What would you recommend for someone that's interested in getting into the arena? What's maybe one or two things that they could, a resource they could look into, something online, or what are a couple tips you'd have for them?
Yeah, I think one is consuming more content around build to rent. Development, any investment has risks, and I think development, there are some areas that it has more risk. In some, I think it's more just unknown. And so I think education is the first point to really getting into understanding the asset class, all the risks that there are, and then ways to mitigate it. And so that's a big part, is just that first getting educated and learning. One of the best ways that I would advocate is LinkedIn. And I write 5 days a week on LinkedIn. 1 or 2 days a week are about build to rent every week. And there's lots of people on there that do that. And so, there's a lot of these asset classes, there's certainly crossover, if you're talking build to rent, you're talking retail, you're talking industrial, multifamily, but they also have very unique parts of them that you like to, you want to get to know. And so that'd be the first thing is learning more, consuming podcasts like your own, where you have folks on, it's just learning, because I think it uncovers, when you learn more, sometimes the fear of getting started or investing, it gets reduced because there's less that's unknown. And so that's for sure the first part is just finding that and consuming content that's around it.
Perfect. And I'd say you hit it on the head, is typically people have overwhelmed because they don't know where to begin. And that's where I say too, between different networking groups, different investors, different online resources, YouTube is one large search engine.
Yeah.
And I've used it for so many simple things, even, within my business, that whether it's SEO, this, that, or the other thing, until you have the right person in place to do it for you, that you can really find out everything. So those are great resources. I know you write great poems. Where can people find these poems, Andrew?
Well, right now they all live on LinkedIn. And so every Wednesday, typically it's at 7:30. My post goes out either at 7:30 in the morning, Central Standard Time, or 6:30. Wednesday, the poem's usually at 7:30. It's all around abundant life and what is abundant life. And I think abundant life there's lots of definitions for people. The first for me is Jesus said that I have come to give you life and life abundant. And abundance, can it be monetary? Certainly, but it's so much more to that. And living abundantly on all of our journeys is a huge goal of me, and something I really want to inspire people to do. And so a lot of times I'll take a story, often from the Bible, about a character in it, and sort of tell the story in poetic form. And then at the end, typically tie in, my take on it and how it relates to abundant life. And so maybe someday there'll be a book of these poems, but right now they all live on LinkedIn.
A coffee table book, just planting a seed, would be a great holiday thing, right?
Nice. Yeah. It's good.
Well, and that ties in perfectly because I always like to end each podcast with my question of how do you live fully?
Mm.
And I would say you read my mind on that and are tying it right in. But with that question, is there anything else you want to add to it?
Yeah, I think um, not to get too deep on you. I love to go really deep. I'm also really silly. People that know me, so I kind of do both extremes. But I think to live fully, you've got to really uncover your why, and
Mm-hmm.
why am I here, and what am I
Right.
doing here? And it's a really big question, and but I think it leads so much in life is that purpose. What's my purpose? And then living fully, I think it's more about how you do whatever you do. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah.
some people they'll ask me, I've done different things. Basketball was a huge part of my life. I played in college and
Right.
over. I grew
Right.
up on a farm. I'm in commercial real estate now. 10 years of my life was in the fitness industry. I've done different things, but my why carried through all of those things. And I've also picked up dog poop on the farm, and I pulled weeds in the garden.
Yep.
Whatever the case may be,
Yep.
and I've felt contentment in those different things. And I think that's really possible, no matter what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
How you do it and what your purpose is can carry you through all of it and give you joy and energy. We're all humans, so we have ups and downs, but it can really give you joy and energy and drive as you go through life.
I agree completely. It comes down to mindset, right? And that's where, with your illustration of no matter what you might be doing, whether it's the simple, mundane, not so exciting to the glamorous big deals, that it's all the mindset and the intention that you utilize towards it. So, well, Andrew, thank you so much for joining me today. And I know my guests are going to want to reach out, so I will include your LinkedIn after this video. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me, Heather. Blessings.